Go.
Okay, just put a new string on this old High Country Ultra Force. Need to put a new D-loop on there. What I'm gonna do, we're using BCY number 24. I'm gonna take 4 or 5 inches worth. Use a little more if you're just getting started tying these. Give it a cut. I'm gonna take one end and try to puff it out. Make it nice and fluffy. I'm gonna use my lighter. And I'm going to begin to turn. I'm trying not to let it actually catch on fire for very long. I don't want it to burn and get crispy. Excuse me. What I want is to just melt it. And once I have a little ball on the end, I'm going to use my lighter to kind of flatten it out. I don't want it to go too thin, but that'll work pretty well there. I'm going to run it over just a little more, kind of glossing it up, make it a little shiny. Okay. I'm going to take it. I'm going to fold it in half, burned ends up on top. And what I'm going to do, this is a right-handed bow, so I'm going to come around the left side with my loop. So I come around the left side, and I push both ends through the loop. So it should look something like that. Then I'm going to take this bottom leg here, and I'm going to work this all the way out. I'm just kind of having to roll it until the burned end has sunk down to the knot. Okay, now what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and grab a little demo arrow. I would do this with his arrow if I had any of his arrows, but I don't, so we're just going to use a standard size arrow. And once I figure out where I want that to be, and what I'm doing is just looking at it from this side to see where I'm at. When you've done enough of these, you get a really good idea on what it needs to look like. If you're brand new at it, you might use something like a bow square or a set of levels. I eyeball it because I've been doing this for over a decade, and I know about where it needs to start. And then once we start tuning on them later, we get it more fine-tuned. All right, so there's that. I know where I like it. I'm going to use my knock here as a space. I'm going to take this leg. I went around the left side before for the top knot. Now I'm going to go around the bottom. I'm going to go around and through. Go ahead and snug it. Not super tight, at least not yet. So I've gone through the loop. Hold still now. Now I'm going to take a hard left. Okay, not around the string again, a hard left. Around and through. All right, now that is essentially the knot done for a D-loop. Okay, the big thing to notice here is that we reverse top to bottom. For a right-handed archer, we want it coming off the left side on top, right side on the bottom. Now, if you want to add string knocks, you would do that before you tied this knot. Just when you had your arrow on the string, you could tie a string knock top and bottom. I'm not going to worry about it on this particular bow, but we do that for some bows and some purposes. Just depending on what you're wanting to do, what the customer wants. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers again, and I'm going to cut some of this off. You got to remember, whatever you leave here. You cut whatever you cut off, and then after you burn it, you've gotten rid of so much material. That length of loop is going to end up in the length of your D-loop. Or excuse me, that length of your string is going to end up going into your loop. And when I was learning how to do this, it took some practice to get the length where I wanted it to be. So you can see about what I've left there. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip this up again. Now, before I burn, I'm going to take my bow and flip it sideways. Thank you. And the reason for that is I don't want to burn my string, so I'm going to come in from the top with my lighter. And so I've got it nice and fluffy. I'm going to come in from the top. You see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of letting it burn using the bottom edge of the flame where it curls. Let's see if I can get you. You hold it right there. Thank you. Like I said, not trying to burn it, just trying to melt it. And if you end up using too much of your string in the burning process, you might have to retie it, or it could end up being a little short. And different shooters like a different length D-loop, depending on how your face is shaped and how your draw length sets and how your how long your release aids are. There's a lot of factors that go into what this length of your loop needs to be. But there's tools you can use. In fact, I've got one right here. You can use this wedge here to measure, how tall that D-loop is. But let me go ahead and tighten this up. So all I'm going to do now is take my pliers. I'm going to stick it in between, and I'm just going to kind of slowly work it in. Try to work those burned ends to the knot. And then I don't want to go too tight just yet in case I need to make some more adjustments on it. But I just took my pliers and I spread it apart. And as I spread it apart, that's what locks down those knots. And then just for kicks, we're going to take our little tool here. I'll stick it in as far as I can get it. Let's see. We're at about, oh goodness, almost 5/8 of an inch, a little over half an inch. No, maybe not quite 5/8. About 5/8 of an inch. That's how tall that is. So, once you figure out what you like, you can measure them and go back and repeat them. You can stretch that out a little more if you want to, and get a little longer if it's a little too short, but you have to be careful not to tear up your serving underneath. But yeah, that's a quick and dirty way to do a D-loop. Thanks for watching.